Good morning, everybody. I hope you are having a great morning. Welcome. I am Elisa, and I am the Scrappy Wife behind scrappywife.com. And let me just start out. I've already been playing this morning, as you can tell from my hands, so I apologize. I'm just never going to be the one that has the clean hands and the pretty makeover for, or pretty manicure for my videos. I just can't. I can't. They get too messy. The sprays are too fun to play with. And so they're all over. So good morning to all of you. Welcome to our Take 10 Playdate. And this one was requested by you guys because we had such a good time playing with texture. I think a couple weeks ago we had our texture playdate and it was a lot of fun. We did some texture paste up here. This was some layered washi that I then painted over, and then this was some string that I mixed in with some Liquitex matte gel medium and kind of put it on the page. You know, Alicia, I just end up scrubbing over, and everything comes off eventually, but this is just what my hands look like. You can ask my other mom friends when I come pick up my kids. They can always tell when it was like an art journaling day because my hands are crazy. Okay, we are going to do texture 2. So we're going to play with texture again. The idea of these Take 10 Playdates, just as a reminder, is not necessarily to come up with an ending product. It is to play, to have fun, to just create, play with your supplies, get to know them a little better, try out some different techniques. You might want to pick up a journal like this. This one is just from Tuesday morning. They tend to have a lot of fun journals to play with. This one is kind of mixed media paper, I would say. It's not watercolor paper, that's for sure, but it's a little bit thicker than just your random computer paper, but it is just something fun to play with. So I will set a timer for 10 minutes, and this morning I'll have to stick to 10 because I have a million errands to run. All of my children have birthdays in the same week, and so it is getting a little bit crazy around here. So I'm going to be off running errands in the rain after this, but first, let's talk texture. So I will set my timer. Good morning, Christy. How's it going? Good morning, Vicki. Good morning, everybody. Okay, I'll set my timer for 10 minutes, and we will talk texture. So, Alexa, set a timer for 10 minutes.
10 minutes, starting now.
Okay, the first thing I'm going to do, this is clear gesso, and I'm actually going to show you just putting gesso on the page in an uneven way can create kind of a cool texture. And let me show you how I'm going to do that. This is my not favorite gesso. This is the Liquitex clear gesso. I prefer the Art Basics gesso for sure. And what I'm going to do, I'm just putting some on the end of this little card. It's basically the equivalent of like a gift card, an old license. I've actually used my old license, which I know is probably not a good idea, but using this, and I'm just spreading it on the page, being a little choppy, not being really specific on what is there. And then I'm going to put this aside and let that dry. The reason that this is not my favorite, this has a grain to it, which when I'm normally using gesso to prep a page, an art journal page, I don't want that grain. But of course, today we are specifically playing with texture, so that grain will work out just fine. I purposely did a really uneven coat over here. I'm going to let it dry, and I'll show you how fun it is to add color on top of it. Good morning, Nancy. How are you doing? Okay. This page, this is just some sprays. This is, I sprayed this using the Dilution Shimmer Spray. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see the shimmer on camera, but it's super pretty. One of my favorites. And I'm going to use this stencil. This is a mandala stencil I picked up, and I'm going to spray the back of it with Pixie Spray. I don't know if you guys use Pixie Spray yet, but it is amazing. You spray the back, I wave it around. You're supposed to let it sit for a minute. I'm never that patient, so I'm just gonna lay it down. And what it does, the Pixie Spray helps hold it in place, so you don't have to worry about stuff kind of getting up and under. Okay, so I have my mandala here, and now I'm gonna pull out, the other thing I wanted to talk to you about was dimensional acrylic. So I have these two. These are from our anthology. You can pick up dimensional paint at any of the craft stores I have. I might have some link below. I'll have to check. Art Anthology is a fun small business company, and they call this their sorbet, which I think is a fun name. And all I'm going to do is kind of put some out. Sorry for the banging sound. Put some out here on my media mat. I love this media mat. It's the Tim Holtz one. It's awesome for when I'm art journaling. Let me get a tool to help get this out. So the deal with the dimensional acrylic is that it's exactly like what it sounds like. It dries with a dimension to it, which is fun and adds a very cool texture. Oh, did you, Alicia? It's a cute trash can, isn't it? I have it right over here, right next to me. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to use that same card technique. Now, these are ones I just cut out of a cutting board from the Dollar Tree. So I went and bought a dollar cutting board, cut it out into the shape. This is just an old card. I'm not totally sure where I got this one from. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to scrape this through my stencil like this. And I'm going to kind of move it through some different parts. And because it's that particular dimensional acrylic, it's just like it sounds like, it will have some slight dimension to it. Regular acrylic paint is going to, for the most part, kind of spread out and dry pretty thin, which is why a lot of us like using it in Bible journaling or when we're not looking to add dimension. But acrylic, or dimensional acrylic, is meant to kind of maintain that. I got too much on here. Okay, I'm gonna kind of mix my colors together and we'll see what happens. Filling in, it gets a little muddy, but so again, kind of just scraping it over, mixing those together. I literally just put my card in the water, and then you can pick it up, and the acrylic theoretically will hold its shape. I'm trying to lift it up super carefully. I don't know, Sherry. I'm not sure why it's not working. It's over to the side on mine. All right, so super cool. Now, if you can see, I'll try to get it. It does have, there you go. You can see that dimension that you get, which creates a super fun texture on your page. So working with that paint is a lot of fun. You can also just, everyone knows I love to use my fingers. Literally, if you're just putting it on and you're dabbing, so you let that dry and those dabs will end up staying there, and you've kind of created your own texture. I know the shine is super pretty on this. Now, anything that has a shine or a gloss does have a tendency to end up sticky in the end. So when I use something like this, I do come back with my EK Success powder tool and kind of just give it a brush of some of the powder on it. That way it kind of takes a little bit of that stickiness off. Kind of mix these two. I kind of am really digging the finger over here, like how it kind of makes it a little bit of a softer edge around that. It's a powder tool. It's basically like baby powder, Amanda, but it's, let me see if I have mine. It's a tool that you can use for embossing too, to make sure your embossing powder only sticks to where you want it to stick. So EK Success tool, and what you do once it's dry is you just kind of brush it over. It's basically like brushing it with just a little bit of baby powder. All right, so over here I have my gesso. Hold on, let me make sure I don't get my book completely covered. If you guys could see my desk exploding right now, you would laugh. It's like nice within the camera frame and then everything else. It doesn't completely, Sherry, it doesn't take away the shimmer completely. Does it tone it down a little bit? Yes. But in order to keep your art journal pages from sticking together. Now, if you're working on tags or something like that, it's not going to be a big deal at all. So that's not going to be a problem. Okay. So this gesso did not completely dry, so I'm just taking my craft tool, trying to get it a little bit more dry. And then I'll just show you how fun it is to play with the gesso parts, with how it kind of takes, when you only gesso parts of the page, it takes the colors differently, which can be a lot of fun to kind of just start off your background, just an immediate texture feel. And to do that, let me get, you know what, I have art anthology. I think we're just gonna go pink today. So this is another art anthology. This is their spray. And I'm spraying it, and can you see how that's coming up? Let me grab my paper towels. Can you see how that texture is coming through to where the uneven gesso was applied? And that's just a cool way to start off a page. There's automatically texture. There's automatically stuff going on. And you can add it in. And that gesso is going to take the color differently, which is fun to play with. Okay, let me show you one more. So a lot of you probably recognize this paper. This is from By the Well for God. This is how they wrap all of their kits. And using tissue paper is a fantastic way to add texture. So take a piece you like, crumple it up. You see a face on here. Oh, like right here. Is this where you're talking about, Alicia? Next to the rings? Oh, Alicia, I'll have to figure out where you're talking about. Okay, so crumble this up. And then I have my Liquitex Matte Gel Medium right here. Alicia said she sees a face next to the rings. I'll have to look for that. And I'm going to just put down some of the Liquitex. And I should probably, if I weren't hurrying because we're playing for 10 minutes, I would do a better coverage, but that's okay. So I've already wrinkled this up on purpose, and I'm going to lay it out. And it's going to maintain some of that texture. I am going for it not laying flat. Now, a lot of times when we're working with collage paper or tissue paper, you're kind of wanting it to lay flat. To the right? You guys you're like creeping me out here. They say they see, is it over here? Is this what you guys are talking about in this ring? That there's a face? Y'all are so funny. Okay, so I'm gonna put this over here. Alexa, stop timer. And basically you just cover it with the matte gel medium. And then once it's dry and you paint on top of it, you're gonna end up with a cool texture underneath. And you can see I'm not really worried about how it's wrinkling because that's part of the point. Now, you don't want to get too... Oh, I just covered it. I just covered the face. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, maybe she'll come out through the flowers still. Okay. Putting this right here. So I can let this dry, and then when I come back with some like spray, that one's not working. Let me try. That worked early. When I come back with some spray over the top of it, you'll really start to see some of the texture come through. And of course, texture from using my paper towel roll right here. But it's a fun kind of thing to play with. The tissue paper, if you kind of like the design in the back, you can see it's still going to come through, but I'm getting the extra layers and playing with that. So, texture. Yes, right? It is very Jane Davenport-ish, all the bright colors. I've been into Jane Davenport lately. My art journal video that I just filmed yesterday, that'll be out next week, was all Jane Davenport. I just got a bunch of her stamps. Love me some bright colors of Jane Davenport stuff. Okay, so this will have to dry. It has plenty of liquid on it. It's going to take a little bit of time here. But you can see it's a fun way to add texture. So check out that dimensional paint. Look at how crisp those lines are. Guys, that's the Pixie spray that helps that crisp lines. And then these are just So much fun to work with. And you can see how those are very opposite colors, but they still didn't get too muddy, which is pretty cool. And then here you can see all of that texture. Sherry, I did Liquitex Matte Gel Medium underneath the tissue paper, and then I put some on top of it too, so that it would stay. That way, here, see, now you can see it just completely blends in. That tissue paper is a lot of fun. And say you don't have a pattern, just use regular white tissue paper. Put that down and it's going to start giving you some texture to work with and play with. You don't have to have the pattern. I just happen to have a bunch of that beautiful floral tissue paper because I love it and I save it every time I get an order. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you guys have an awesome day. If you have any questions or comments, make sure to leave them and I will check those out. If you decide to try some of these techniques, tag me on social media. I'm Scrappy Wife Blog over on Instagram. And don't forget that I do have an email list that is out that shares crafty updates and organization ideas. So you can join that. It is linked in the show notes. I hope you have an awesome day. Keep it creative. Thanks, guys.